Hello everyone, welcome to our tutorial. Today, we're going to learn how to create a trigger handler class in Salesforce. This class will update a field in the account object based on changes to a related field in the contact object. We are creating contact trigger handler class. Here is our real interview question. I have a custom checkbox field as primary in the contact object, and a custom field count of primary contacts in the account object. I would like to increment the count of primary contacts field on the account object whenever a contact is created or updated with this primary set to true. This question was asked to me in an interview. Let's answer it together, guys. Let's create an isPrimary field on the contact object, and create a count of primary contacts field on the account object. Let's start by looking at our contact trigger handler class. This class contains a static method called handle after insert update. This method is triggered whenever a contact record is inserted or updated. In the first part of our method, we collect all account IDs from the contacts that were inserted or updated. We do this using a for loop that adds each contact's account ID to a set called account IDs. Next, we run a SOPO query to fetch the count of primary contacts for the collected accounts. We use a where clause to filter the contacts based on the account IDs and the isPrimary field. We also use a group by clause to group the results by account ID. Then, we prepare the account records for update. We do this using another for loop that creates a new account record for each result, sets the ID to the account ID from the result, and sets the count of primary contacts field to the count from the result. Finally, we update the account records in Salesforce using the update statement. We only perform the update if there are any records to update. Ops. It seems I inadvertently omitted the group by account ID clause in my SOQL query. This clause is pivotal as it organizes the results by each unique account ID, enabling us to tally the number of primary contacts associated with each individual account. I will ensure to incorporate this clause into my query. It's important to remember that the group by clause is indispensable when utilizing aggregate functions such as count, as it delineates how the returned record should be grouped. Great news! The deployment has been successfully completed. Now, let's proceed to create our trigger. It's important to note that this trigger should be an after trigger. The reason being, we want to update the count of primary contacts field in the account object only after the contact record has been saved. This ensures that we are working with the most recent data when updating the total count of primary contacts for each account. Inside the trigger body, we're calling a static method handleAfterInsertUpdate from our contact trigger handler class. This method takes two arguments, trigger.new and trigger.oldMap. Trigger.new is a list of the new versions of the contact records, and trigger.oldMap is a map of the old versions of the contact records. Why after trigger? It's important to note that we're using an after trigger here. This is because we want our actions to take place after the contact record has been inserted or updated in the database. In other words, we want to make sure that our contact record has been successfully saved before we try to do anything with it. Now that we've created our trigger, it's time to put it to the test. Testing is a crucial part of development because it helps us catch errors and ensure our code works as expected. In Salesforce, we can do this by creating or updating contact records and observing if the count of primary contacts field in the related account record updates correctly. Let's go ahead and create a new contact record with its primary set to true. After saving the record, navigate to the related account record and check the count of primary contacts field. If our trigger is working correctly, you should see that the count has increased by 1. Remember, this is just one way to test our trigger. Depending on your specific use case, You might want to test with different data or in different scenarios. The important thing is to make sure that your trigger works as expected in all situations. So, that's how you create and test a trigger in Salesforce. Remember, this is just one example of what you can do with triggers. The possibilities are endless, and I encourage you to experiment on your own to see what else you can achieve. Let's test our trigger. Fantastic news! Our trigger is functioning flawlessly. Stay tuned for more real-time Salesforce interview questions and answers. Enhance your knowledge and skills with us, and let's conquer Salesforce together. Remember, learning is a journey, and every step counts. Happy coding!